Hopefully you joined us today for our 4 o'clock session on cooking over a campfire, because there was a lot of good information there. It was a lot of fun. And again, we will be doing these sessions Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. every single day of the week. And I am Tera Bridges. I'm one of the Girl Troop Experience Managers for Girl Scouts Carolina's Peaks to Piedmont Council. We serve the central and western portions of North Carolina. And again, thank you for joining me today. We are going to go over Brownie pets, and I'm not going to complete all of the activities in the badge, but hopefully you can do some of those at home and get the badge complete at home. But we are going to touch on a lot of the main points of the badge. And before we get started, I want to let you know that at the very end, I'm going to ask you to post a picture of your pet. And with that picture, we are also going to play a game. So, at the very end of the session, we're going to play a game. And there will be 4 questions to the game. And I'm looking for 4 correct answers, as well as the picture of your pet together. The first person that gets all 4 answers right with the picture of their pet after the live video will win a prize, and we will notify you of the winner tomorrow. The deadline for the contest is 12 o'clock tonight, and we'll also post a picture of the prize. So hopefully it's appealing to Brownie girls. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I want you to be a little interactive in the comments for me to help earn some of the aspects of the badge. So the first thing I want you to comment is, what do you love about your pet? So go ahead and put that in the comments. And this is also going to help if there's somebody that, has never had a dog, but they're interested in having a dog. Maybe some of your comments will help them understand what it takes to have a dog, the responsibilities, what dogs eat, how to take care of them, how much energy and time that they need, so it'll help them know whether or not they want a dog or not. And also, if you don't have a pet and you still want to participate in the session, that's okay. Or you can either get a family friend pet, or you can just get a picture off of Google of a pet that you would like to have. That will work as well, as long as you have a picture of a pet and you answer the 4 questions at the end of the video. Alright, so the first part of the Brownie Pets badge is find out what care different pets need. So again, you can have all kinds of different pets. You can have a cat, you can have a dog, you can have a lizard, a snake, you could have a cow, you could have a chicken, you can have a bunny. That's perfectly fine. So you just need to realize that different animals take different care. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about my pets today, so that you can learn maybe a little bit about bearded dragons, because some of you have maybe never owned a bearded dragon before, and you're kind of interested in having one, but you maybe don't understand everything that entails taking care of a dragon. And I actually have 3 dragons, and all of my dragons are named after fictional characters, so it's kind of fun. This is Falcor, and he's kind of taking a nap right now. So Falcor is named after Falcor the Luck Dragon from the Never Ending Story. If you've never heard of it, I'm sure your parents have. Maybe you can ask them if you can watch that movie later. I think it's PG, so you should be good to go. But you probably still need to make sure it's okay with your parents. Our second dragon is named Saphira, and she was named after a book series and also a movie called Aragon, which is also pretty awesome. And then our third dragon is named Rango, after the movie Rango. So a lot of you should be familiar with the movie Rango, and while Rango was a chameleon, ours is a dragon. So it's a little bit different, but we as a family thought that Rango was kind of a really fun, spunky name, and Rango has some spunk to him. So that's what we settled on. So I'm going to share a little bit of facts about my dragon, and if you have additional questions, there will be some of my friends in the comments below that will answer some more questions about bearded dragons, or I can answer specific questions about Falcor after the video. So there are 8 different species of bearded dragons, And the most common type, the most common household pet type is the Pogonovidiceps, and hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Falcor is a reptile. He is cold-blooded. He is an omnivore, which means he eats plants and animals. They can live from 4 to 10 years. Falcor is about 2.5 years old right now. He can get anywhere from 18 to 22 inches. That's about average. And Falcor is actually about 21 inches long. And his tail takes up 12 inches. So his tail is a whole foot long. More than half of his body size is his tail. They can weigh anywhere from 10 to 18 ounces. I'm sorry. So that's like a full bottle of water. So if you're holding a full bottle of water, that's about what he weighs. He does have scales and spikes, as you can see. He does have some little claws. They are a little sharp, but he doesn't mean to hurt you. He's very, very timid and sweet. He's peeking. I'll try not to let him see himself too much because he doesn't like his reflection. He is, for the most part, gentle, but I will tell you that whenever you buy a bearded dragon, if you're interested in one, most of the time you're going to get one at your local pet store, unless you know a breeder specifically. But most of the time you're going to get them when they're very young. They'll be about the size of your thumb. And maybe a little bit longer with the tail, but their body will be about the size of your thumb. And at that point, they're not used to you. So you're bringing them home into a brand new environment with their brand new terrarium. And a terrarium is kind of like an aquarium, but you just don't have water in it. So it's kind of the same. It's a glass cage, but it's just made for reptiles. And so whenever you bring them home, they're not comfortable with you. They don't trust you. And you're bringing them into a whole new environment. They've lived their lives, which, I mean, they're bred in captivity, but they've lived their lives in PetSmart looking out the window, and they know what's on aisle 10, but when you bring them home to your living room, they look at your couch and they're like, oh, well, what is that odd creature over there? I've never seen that before. So they're not used to you, so they can be a little standoffish, so they're not this gentle and relaxed. So you have to give them a while to get used to you, especially as they're growing. When they get a little bit bigger, they're easier to handle, but it took a while. It takes at least a couple months, or it could take up to a year, depending on how much social interaction you have with your dragon. So that can be, you know, just sticking your hand in on the opposite side of the cage away from them, just like for a couple minutes every day, just so they're used to you being there. Or just sitting beside their terrarium a couple minutes every day so they're used to you. And then when they slowly start to get comfortable, maybe start putting some crickets on your hand and putting your palm inside of the terrarium and letting them come to you to get food. So that way they know you are the source of food. They can trust you. This is the person that feeds them. And it did take Falcor, it didn't quite take a year, but it did take a few months, probably around 8 months, for him to get used to us completely, to where he was just like laying like this, just completely fine. And bearded dragons are not like dogs. And it's really important that you get a pet that matches your personality, or matches what you think you want in a pet. So if you want a animal that is more active, like a dog, where you can play fetch, you can play with frisbee, run around, be high energy all the time, then, you probably would like a dog. If you want a pet that just kind of hangs out, maybe cuddles with you and watches TV with you, and this is about the extent of their activity, then maybe a dragon's right for you. But again, for kids, a lot of kids think that dragons are really cool, and they are. And he's very good with kids, but it took a long time to get to this point. So I don't want someone to buy a dragon and get their hopes up at the beginning because their dragon, has open mouth towards them, like they're going to bite them, because they're scared. And a lot of people give up on dragons really easy because they don't understand or they don't do their research. So make sure that you do your research about your pet before you get one. Naturally, dragons in the wild, you can find them in Australia, and they like warm areas. They like deserts. They like the subtropical woodlands, savannas, scrublands. And in his terrarium, we do have heat lamps to keep him warm. He needs a specific temperature to keep warm. I do pull him out of his cage for social interaction, but you don't want to keep him out too long. You want to make sure he has heat. If I do have him out for a while, I make sure I have like a heating pad or something to kind of keep him warm. He really likes being beside my neck because it's a warmer part of my body. And Falcor is not a wild dragon. He was bred in captivity, and he came from PetSmart. And they're actually fairly cheap at PetSmart. The most that you're going to pay is for the terrarium and all of the equipment to set up. That can get a little pricey just depending on when you go and when they have sales. And talk a little bit about what they eat. Falcor's kind of picky. They do eat beetles, crickets, dubia roaches. They eat different types of worms, like hornworms. They eat fruits, kale, mustard greens. They also do need calcium every now and then for their diet to keep healthy. And with the fruit's more like a treat for them. It's kind of like ice cream. You can't have it every single day. You're going to get a tummy ache. But he loves bananas and he loves blueberries. So it's kind of a little different fact. Instead of just eating crickets all the time, he gets bananas sometimes. Bearded dragons are territorial. So I know. He's hissing at me. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want the light right now. He's tired. They are territorial. You can't have a lot of them in the same terrarium. When they're babies, it's okay. But when they get older, they need to be in separate terrariums because they get aggressive towards each other. I've never seen Falcor get aggressive towards like a cat or a dog or anything like that. But if he sees another dragon, it makes his villains get hurt. Whenever they are trying to be territorial or they're upset or angry, their beards puff up and they get really black. And I'll show you in a minute. I don't want to bug him right now. But they'll turn completely black. Or if they want to let you know that they feel like you're a predator or that you're going to hurt them or they're scared, they'll open their mouth like they're going to bite you. Sometimes they'll hiss he hisses when he's upset with me. Or like sometimes if I give him a bath and he doesn't want a bath, he'll hiss at me. But he's fine. Like he's not, he's just being a little dramatic. He's not like, he doesn't like, he's not liking me. He just is upset that I'm making him do something that he doesn't want to do. Just like a child. And with the dominance thing, whenever he turns his beard black, he'll bob his head kind of like a parrot. And the submissive dragon on the other end will do like this hand wave really slowly to let the other dragon know that they are submitting to them. They are the king of the mountain. And Falcor is the king of the household here. So sometimes also if they feel threatened or they're just trying to show dominance and show off, they'll flatten their bodies even more so he can flatten out to like here. It's like a pancake. And sometimes he'll even turn his body slightly sideways so that he looks bigger in appearance and he looks more threatening or more dominant than he actually is. And then moving on, they also experience a form of hibernation during the fall and winter colder months. And it's called brumation. And during this, it's not a full hibernation. It's like a second scale, toned back a little bit. But they sometimes won't eat, and they'll be just hiding in their little cave in the dark. They won't use the bathroom as much, and they won't drink as much water. And a lot of people get really concerned with this because they feel like their dragons are sick, which is a legitimate concern, but it's just one of the things that they do. So if it's the colder months, he may be going through brumation. Okay. I'm going to try to show you his beard, if he'll let me. Look. So there's his beard. And when he gets mad, it just turns completely black. Like you wouldn't think it would go completely black, but it does. And he's comfortable. He doesn't want to be messed with right now. And he is definitely the animal for me because I am an introvert, and sometimes he just wants to hide in a dark hole and get away from all the noise, and he likes to cuddle, so we're kind of just good together. He's like my spirit animal. Moving on to number 2 of the badge, keep a pet comfy. So let me know in the comments, what is something that you do to keep your pet comfy? Does your pet have a special blanket? Does your pet have a stuffed animal that maybe they sleep with or play with that they are really affectionate about? And I'll tell you some of the things that I do for Falcor, like just to keep him comfortable. You know, he needs his heat bulb, making sure he has the right temperature in his cage. He loves a tree to climb. He loves anything that he can climb in the room, and he can be on top of the hill and be the king. That is him. Even before this video, we struggled a little bit because he wanted to be on the very top of my head, and I told him we just couldn't make that work for this video, so he had to settle for my shoulder. So that could be another reason why he's acting like he doesn't want to deal right now. Taking a little nap. And he also really, really enjoys a hammock. So he in my mind, he kind of reminds me of like a lazy old man. He just likes to hang out, sunbathe, and just eat. Oh, and with being a picky eater, I forgot to mention, the picky part is he doesn't really like worms or crickets or any bugs unless they are moving. So if he has to do the work to go get it, he's not gonna, unless it's, you know, bananas or blueberries, he'll go for those. But he will sit in his tree or on his rock, and he will wait for a cricket to come to him, and then he will eat. So he is very spoiled. And that's probably me to blame on that part, but I love him nonetheless. I wouldn't have it any other way. Okay, so number 3 is help a pet stay healthy and safe. So post in the comments, what is a way that you help protect your pet or keep them healthy? Maybe you give them medicine, flea and tick medicine. Maybe you have a fence in your yard to keep them safe. Some of the things that I do for Falcor is you have to make sure their cage stays clean and it stays at a certain temperature. So every time he goes to the bathroom, you have to make sure you clean it. If they don't have a clean environment, bearded dragons can get sick very easily. And they'll do this huffing thing that almost sounds like they have asthma, or that like they have water in their lungs or something. It's a odd sound. But at that point, you know, you have to treat him with medicine, and you have to take him to the vet. So you have to keep his cage clean. You have to make sure he has certain temperature in his cage. He does good with groups and children, but he has like a 30-minute max. After that 30 minutes, he looks around and he looks for me, and he's like, okay, Mom, and he'll climb right to me, and he's like, we're done. I can't do this anymore. So, and that's another reference to me. I can only deal with being in social settings for so long, and then I have to be an introvert and recharge my energy. He is exactly the same. I'm safe. We have to make sure that we keep his cage closed, because he has figured out how to open the door. So now we have a bar in between the little holes in the front of the door to keep it locked. Because he figured out how to open the door, and he figured out how to get out and go show his dominance to the other dragons in their terrariums. So, and you know, we don't want him doing that when we're not at home, and then him not getting his heat and him getting too cold, and then maybe he gets lost in the house. So, also another example is when we take him outside to play and, you know, eat a little bit of grass here and there. If there's a lot of birds outside and he hears a lot of chirping, he's going to have anxiety the entire time. He's going to be like, oh my God, something's going to scoop down and just take me away. So I have to be mindful of what creatures and what sounds are outside, because if he hears a lot of birds, he's not going to enjoy himself. He's not going to play. So I got to make sure that I keep him safe emotionally and physically as well. All right, so moving on to number 4, make a pet feel loved. So let me know in the comments how you make your pet feel loved. Do you pet them? Do you take them on walks to the park? Do you give them special treats when they're good? And, you know, for Falcor, he gets his bananas and he gets his cuddles. Some of the things that he really likes is he loves to go on car rides. He loves to watch out the window in car rides. He loves looking out the window at home. He likes roaming the house and finding the tallest object he can find and climbing to the very top. It's the little things in life that makes him happy. And I also wanted to share some examples of some toys that you could make for your pets while you're at home right now and you're a little restricted. And also I wanted you to think about the animals in animal shelters right now, because they're not really being thought of right now. You know, we're thinking about ourselves, we're thinking about our families, how to take care of our families and ourselves, we're thinking about healthcare workers, we're thinking about educators, we're thinking about grocery store workers and truck drivers, and those are all very important and very valid concerns. But nobody's really thinking about the animals in the animal shelters and, you know, what's happening in their lives right now. So if you don't have a pet and you want to make some toys and take them to your local animal shelter, you know, that might be a good way to give back to the community. Of course, practicing safe social distancing. So one thing that I did is I had an empty roll of toilet paper on hand, just miraculously. And I cut it up. I cut 4 pieces, and they're not quite the length of 1 inch. And if you just take 2 and cross it like that, then take another one across one of the sides, and then take the 4th one across the other side. And it's something very simple, and of course it's not going to be very durable for very long, but this is a simple toy that maybe a cat could play with. If you let your dog play with that, they'd probably tear it up in a couple of seconds, which is fine. It's just cardboard, so it shouldn't hurt them. And then another thing I thought of is I had some scrap fabric at home, and if you don't have any scrap fabric, maybe you have like an old t-shirt that you just don't care about anymore. But whatever fabric you use, make sure it's something that's safe to give to animals. You don't want something with a lot of glitter or sequins, or something that has a lot of dye in it that can maybe hurt the animals. And I'm going to cut it into 3 strips. Okay, and I did not cut perfect lines, but it's okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to take 2 of them and go ahead and tie them together on the end. Then I'm going to take the 3rd piece and go ahead and tie it to those 2. Okay, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to braid it. So near the end, I'm going to leave myself a little bit there, and as you can see, my braid is not perfect, and that's okay. Go ahead and tie 2 of the ends together, and then tie your 3rd piece in somewhere. And now, might have to touch up that side. Now I have a little toy fabric rope for maybe a dog to play with. And again, it's not perfect because I just braided that out of the air. But that's something very simple that you could do to make a pet happy, make an animal happy in general. So think about some things that you could do as well at home. with items that you just have laying around. And that brings us to number 5, which is the last step. Feed a pet. So let me know in the comments below, if you have a pet, what do you feed your pet? And maybe what's your pet's favorite treats? So that way other people who are interested in the pet that you have maybe know. And as you know, Falcor loves bananas. But he needs to eat, you know, crickets and mustard greens and things like that as well. Okay, so this brings me to the last part. It is time for our game. So get ready with your pictures of your animals. And remember, you have to post the picture of your animal with the answers to all of my questions, all 4 of them. They all have to be together. And the first person that gets all of it correct with the picture of their animal wins a prize. And I will post the prize in the comments, and I'll also post the items in the comments in case you don't understand what I'm saying or if I say it too fast. Okay, so this game is called The Price is Right. And instead of an estimated price, I want the actual price. And because there are various websites out there that have different prices, we're going to use one specific website. And the website that we are going to use is petco.com. petco.com. And you should be able to find all of these items on there. Number 1. Hope you're ready. Number 1 is Star Wars dueling lightsaber dog collar. So again, number 1 is Star Wars dueling lightsaber dog collar. Number 2, SpongeBob Squidward Easter Island aquarium ornament. So that is it's Squidward's house, and it is an aquarium ornament for a fish. So again, SpongeBob Squidward Easter Island aquarium ornament. Number 3, Pet Stages Little Avocado cat toy. Again, number 3, Pet Stages Little Avocado cat toy. Number 4, Imagitarium 40-gallon double-sided terrarium background. Again, number 4, Imagitarium 40-gallon double-sided terrarium background. And this game is The Price is Right, and I need the actual price for the items from petco.com. And I need the first person with all 4 answers of prices correct with a picture of their pet or a pet that they would like to have in the comments will win a prize. The deadline is 12 o'clock tonight, and we will announce the winner tomorrow. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again tomorrow at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Make sure you are following Girl Scouts Carolina's Peaks to Piedmont page. There is a section where you can click your follow preferences, and you can switch to get notifications for our page and for these live videos. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.